Okay, today we are going to just do a quick review on finding common denominators as we learned in class before we left for spring break. The first thing you have to do is obviously know what the problem is. You're going to write the problem here, and we have a simple addition problem, which is 1/2 plus 1/3. Your first step is you're going to find the multiples because you can't add 1/2 and 1/3 when their denominators are different. So you must change them so they have like denominators. So you want to find the first lowest, you want to find the LCM, the lowest common denominator that they share together. So we do start with the multiples. So the multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8. 3 is 3, 6, 9, 12. Which one is the lowest number that they share? You should be seeing 6 right away. They share 12, but you want the lowest one, so go with 6. All right, so the next step is we now have to multiply 1/2 by the number that is going to get us to the 6. All right, so in this case, it's the third multiple. It's the times 3 over 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so 1/2 is the equivalent of 3/6. It's the same. 1/3, we're going to multiply by 2 over 2 because this is the second multiple for 3. 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2, and 2/6 is equivalent to 1/3. The final step here is we are going to add 3/6 plus 2/6, and we are going to get 5/6. All right, and this is the lowest possible form that it's in. You cannot reduce that any further. And remember, you do not add the denominators. The denominators stay the same. You only add the numerators in this case. And we can visually see here in this fraction table how we couldn't add 1/2 and 1/3 together because they have different denominators. So we had to make them equivalent. So if you go ahead and look at 1/2 and you kind of compare it down here, you see how 1/2 is equivalent to 1, 2, 3, 6. And you can also note that 1/3 is equivalent to 1, 2, 6 here. Visually, you can see that in this fraction model. And so when we add 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have 5/6 is the same as 3/6 plus 2/6 is here in this model. So these models are really helpful. So use them when you have a chance. Okay, so I pulled this sheet for you. You should have this both in Seesaw or you have the PDF that you can print if you'd like. And so we're going to work on this just as a quick review together. This has to do with lesson 7.4, which is subtracting fractions. So they're talking here about a bar diagram. It can be used to solve addition and subtraction problems. You can compare the wholes to the parts. So write a subtraction equation for this diagram. So this is the first part. Here we are. We have this bar diagram where they have 1/5, 3/5, and 4/5. And so they want to do a subtraction problem that equals 3/5. So what you do in subtraction, in the case of subtraction, you look here at the whole because this is the whole and you're going to be taking away something from it. So in this case, it's 4/5. 4/5 minus 1/5 equals 3/5. And again, it's the same principle of that you're not going to touch the denominators, they just slide on over, and that you're just only subtracting the pieces of the whole. 4 pieces minus 1 piece equals 3 pieces out of 5. So that is the first problem. So let's go, why don't you pause the video right now and go ahead and fill in the multiples between 3/4 and 2/8. So did you get what I got, which is the multiples of 4 go first 4, 8, 12, and 16. And the multiples of 8 go 8, 16, 24, and 32. And this problem says, what is the least number that can be used as a common denominator? So once again, we're looking for the smallest. And of course, so go ahead and write what you think is the least common denominator. Okay, and did you get 8? Yeah. 8 and 8 right here. That's the smallest. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to write an equivalent fraction for 3/4 and 2/8 with the common denominator. So for 3/4, 8 happens to be the second multiple. So we're going to multiply 2 over 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. And they already did the bottom for us, which is 4 times 2 is 8. And then for the next one, 8 is the first multiple, so we're just going to multiply this times 1 over 1. 2 times 1 is 2, and then, of course, they've done that. And so now what we are left with is 6 eighths and 2 eighths are our new equivalent fractions. And so we are going to subtract. We're going to put 6 here, and we're going to put here 6, and we subtract the numerator. So 6 minus 2 is 4, and we keep the denominator the same, and so that's 8 4/8. So then they asked what the difference between 3/4 and 2/8, and we know that it is 4/8 because we just figured that out with doing the common denominator is 4/8. Okay, so they leave you with this bar diagram over here. So how would you fill that in? How might you fill that in? Go ahead and pause the video and fill in the bar diagram like you think it should be. Does yours look like mine? I did 6 eighths is the whole minus 2 eighths. 6 eighths minus 2 eighths equals 4 eighths. So that all adds up, right? So 4 eighths plus 2 eighths equals 6 eighths. So that's all balanced. All right, so then number 5 says Maya painted 2/5 of her bedroom wall in the morning and 1/4 in the evening. How much more of the wall did she paint in the morning? So when it says how much more, we know we're subtracting. So we need to look at this problem, and we've got 2/5 minus 1/4. So we know our first step is we're going to find our multiples, right? So we have 5 and we have 4. So we need to find the multiples of those two numbers. So go ahead and find the multiples of 5 and 4. Okay, if you did your multiples like I did, you came up with 5, 10, 15, and 20. And for 4, you have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. So right now, which one is the lowest that they share? And you probably are seeing what I'm seeing, which is 20. So we're going to circle 20. And we're going to go over here. And we need to now do our math. Did they leave us room to do that over here? No, they're just not. They're skimpy on this on the work. Okay, so here we go. So we are going to now turn 2/5. We are going to multiply 2/5. The fifth is the fourth multiple, so it's going to be times 4 over 4, which is 8/20. And then we need to get our 1/4. And that's the fifth multiple, and so it's 5 over 5, and that is 5/20. Okay, and so now we have our problem, and we're going to come over here, prefer pink, I think, is going to be, 8/20 minus 5/20, and that will get 3/20. Is our answer, okay? And some of you may have noticed right away when you had this problem, which was 2/5 and 1/4, you might have already just thought, well, I'm just going to multiply the two together to do the easiest common multiple, which is 5 times 4 equals 20. And you can totally do that. Sometimes though, there's a lower one, okay? Just to be, just to note, because like look back up here in this problem 4 and 8. If you had multiplied 4 times 8, it would have been 32. And we know that there was already a lower multiple of 8. So just keep that in mind. All right, so on the back, I would like you to work this problem, find the difference, 7/10 minus 1/5. So go ahead and do that on the back or, in the margin. I'm going to go do my work up here and then come back and watch. I'm bringing the problem up here, 7/10 minus 1/5. And I know looking at it that 10 is a multiple of 5. And so I'm going to kind of do this a little faster. What I'm going to do is I know that 5 times 2 equals 10. So I'm going to change it into 2/10. Okay, and so I know that I'm going to be subtracting these two numbers. Okay, and so I'm going to say 7/10 minus 2/10 equals 5/10. And I know that 5 is a multiple, or 10 and 5 share that multiple. And so I'm going to divide by 5 on the top and divide by 5 on the bottom. And that's going to give me 1/2, because we want to simplify it to its lowest form. This is called simplifying the fraction. So 1/2 is also equivalent to 5/10. So that is your answer for right down here. And you should have shared your work.